Hey, good evening, YouTube. Old Guy 379 here, just coming back to say thank you for all the views and the comments on my last video. I greatly appreciate it. I respect each and every one of your comments, even though maybe some of you don't agree with what I said, or you have your opinion on whether or not what I was telling you was the truth. I still respect you, man. I respect everybody for what they do and what they say. So just in response to some of that, yes, I really do have over 4 million miles in 30 years. It's not that difficult to do. If you figure out, one of the guys was telling me there's no way that my math is wrong, you couldn't do it. But if you look at 120,000 miles a year, which is about average for most drivers, 10,000 miles a month, 30 times 120,000 is 3.6 million. So yes, it can be done. It can be done in even less than that. Trust me. But, I come from a different generation, a different time, when drivers were expected to do more than what they are now, maybe. They just gave you a job to do and you did it. So, but thank you anyway for all your opinions, man. It was very interesting. I was away from YouTube for, I think I posted that video a week ago, maybe a little longer. And I haven't checked on my account until today, and I was shocked to see, I think it was somewhere close to like 2,300 views and almost 200 comments. That's a pretty big deal. Now, I'm not in this to make money off of YouTube. I'm just an old truck driver sharing his opinions and trying to start some open dialogue with other drivers and to get some conversations going, because I think that's something we're really missing in this industry today. We seriously have a problem, a communication problem between drivers, regardless of whether or not you speak the English language. That has nothing to do with it. The fact is, a lot of drivers just don't talk to each other anymore. So we need this kind of thing. We need to be sitting down and be civil and discuss different situations and the rules and where we need to go. And we can get into a whole nother video later on about speed limiters and what we think of that. But right now, this is kind of on the whole hours of service rule set. Thank you so much again, though. Like I said, it was shocking to see that many, and more positive comments than negative. Thank God. I'm grateful for that. But anyway, appreciate each and every one of you. I respect all of you for what you do. So, in response to some of the comments on there, some of them were saying, well, it's old guys like you are the reasons we have the rules we have now. And maybe that could be, but that's your opinion. My opinion is, I think we were a lot safer. Highway deaths, if you look over the last 30 years, they went down significantly in the early to mid 2000s, and they've increased significantly over like the last 10 years. And a lot of it has to do, I think, and again, this is just my opinion, with all the safety features they're throwing on all these trucks now, and lack of training. Definitely. We have a lot of driving schools out there, quote, driving schools, and they're pumping guys through in 4 to 6 weeks, getting them out there in a truck. And and like I mentioned in my last video, there was actually a guy that went to school for 2 weeks, went to work for somebody, and they just threw him in a truck. No trainer, didn't take him out, help finish, do some final training or anything with him. Just turned him loose in the world. And there's a lot of that going on, and that's why the FMCSA came up with the new rules for training, but there's still a lot of places not following that. So, where I'm going with this is, I think we have a serious problem in this industry. There's several reasons. It's not just the hours of service rule set. It's not just e-logs, and it's not just safety features on the trucks. It's distracted drivers. It's lack of training. It's lack of understanding. It is, I have a friend of mine that worked for a driving school for a while, and he was told to stick strictly to the curriculum and don't teach these guys anything that you've learned over the years. They don't need to know that. They'll learn that when they get to work for the company that they're going to work for. Well, the problem is, a lot of the trainers that are out there now, and I say now, I mean really in the last 10, 15 years, there's a lot of the trainers that have less than 6 months driving experience. He explained to me how a guy that's only been driving for 6 months, hasn't even been through a full 4 seasons of driving, how he is going to be training a new driver to become a better driver. Can he help a little? Maybe. I'm sure there's a few things he's learned in 6 months that he knows more than the guy that's only got, 4, 5, 6 weeks of driving. But in all reality, let's face it, I think if you have less than 10 years experience, and this is my opinion, you have absolutely no business being a driver trainer. Granted, there are some guys that have been out there for over 10 years who still need training themselves. And I'm not perfect. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not belittling anybody saying I'm like the end-all, be-all best driver ever, because I am not. But I'm safe, and I know my limitations. And I think that's the problem with a lot of young guys. And I know I look back to when I was young and other young guys around back in the early 90s, they didn't know their limitations either. Until you scare yourself a couple times and you start learning them. But again, thank you so much for all the kind words and even the negative comments or whatever. There weren't very many. Most of you were very civil. I like to see that. There's a lot of younger guys out there, I should say younger just based on their time in the industry, and some of them are very well spoken, and their comments are very succinct and well put together, and I appreciate that, man. I didn't get a chance to read all of them, but I read through quite a few. There's some of them that are pretty long, and but they're well put together, and it's guys like that we need. We need people that can communicate well, and we all need to come together to agree on certain things, at least get to a point where we're almost 100% in agreement with each other on where we need to go in this industry. With everything that's changing in the political climate and the way things are going, more than ever, it's important that we come together in unity and try to make this a better industry. I love this business. I love trucks and I love trucking. I think I've said that before in a couple of my videos, and I think I've reiterated I'm very passionate about it. And I would like nothing more than to sit down and talk to people with the FMCSA to see what their opinions are, and to kind of share what my knowledge I've gained over the last 30 years. And I would love to have the ability to have like a consortium of other drivers and their opinions put together to say, hey, this is where we need to go. This is what's going on. This is what we see every day, because we're out here in this every single day, and the people that are writing the rules have no clue. They are basing their rules off of conjecture and opinion and people who have motives that come strictly from a misunderstanding of what we're doing out here. I think the biggest majority of us out here, we really try to be safe. We try to do our job to the best of our abilities, and I applaud everybody for that. That's what you should be striving to do as a professional driver. You should be training as much as you can. You should be learning new things every day. You should be trying to make yourself better at everything you do, from backing up to driving forward to changing lanes to how you handle your truck to how you shift. Everything you do should be done at the highest level of performance and highest level of professionalism that you can muster. I know there's a lot of guys out here that are very unprofessional. It's just the way it is. And it's been that way forever. I've seen that off and on through my entire career and my entire life growing up. There's some guys that are extremely professional and amazing at what they do, and there's some guys and it's a minority really, but they're the ones that stand out to other people who are just belligerent, hard to deal with, and just don't want to change. And when I say don't want to change, I mean they just don't want to do things that are right and correct and safe. And that's sad. Those are the guys that, unfortunately, guys and gals and people, however you want to say it, that are the ones that make the rest of us look bad. Tailgating. I'm going to bring this up. It has nothing to do with hours of service regulations, but man, there is nothing that torques me more than seeing a truck driver tailgate a car or tailgate another truck, but especially a four-wheeler. And I get it. We all get frustrated. You get somebody in front of you, you're trying to roll along at the speed limit, you got some four-wheeler in the middle lane doing 10 miles an hour under the speed limit. It's frustrating as all get out. I get it. But I want you to put yourself in that person's shoes and look at it from an outsider's perspective. What if that was your wife, your son, your daughter, your husband, your parents, whatever, your older parents that are having a little more trouble because they're older in age, and some jackass truck drivers barreling down on them like that going down the interstate. Think how that would make you feel. You know, that's something you really got. When we're out here, you can't just get caught up in the moment of what you're doing. You have to really start thinking about how everything you do affects other people, because we're very visible. I mean, it is really hard to hide a freaking semi-truck. You know, I don't care if you're driving a Volvo with a 53-foot trailer, or you're driving a single screw day cab and a 28-foot trailer, or if you're driving something like mine that's 310-inch wheelbase and a 53-foot trailer that's stretched out all the way. You're very hard to hide. You're very visible. And everything we do, the public watches us. Believe it or not, we are watched every second of every day that we're on the road by everybody. The majority of people go home at the end of the day and they've completely forgotten by the end of the day everything that happened. But there are those who remember things like that and they start complaining. So my point is, and the whole point of all these videos is to try to get everybody to think a little bit and evaluate how they act, the way things are, and what we need to do to change this business to make it better. Is definitely not the same industry as it was 30 years ago. But it's still not bad. But it is headed away in a direction that is taking away a lot of our freedoms and our abilities to do our job the best we can. So this is just as short as it's going to be. I appreciate all your guys' opinions. You know, I didn't get to read through all the comments. Again, thank you for all the views. That actually made me feel pretty good. I was kind of shocked. I mean, when I opened up my account, I was like, whoa, wow, that many people actually watched that dumb video. That's pretty cool. So anyway, one thing, you know, I guess questions, drivers. One of the videos I would like to do, or several videos I'd like to do, would be some videos, just some stories, just some trucker stories, things that I've seen over the years or things that I've done. My dad, as I said in my last video, my dad started driving in 1949, hauling livestock. He passed away in 2011, just shy of his 81st birthday. He drove for 54 years, impeccable driving record, great guy. And of course, he was my dad, so obviously, you know, I think that of him. But after having spent my entire life around him and listening to all his stories and all the guys that I grew up around, you know, I mean, there's probably 30, 40 other drivers that I grew up around, and I got to listen to all their stories. Man, I wish I would have recorded what my dad told me, all the stuff that he had, that he'd seen and done over the years. And I just think it's interesting. You know, I mean, when my dad was telling me as I was growing up, I'm like, oh, okay, Dad, whatever. I've heard that story about 752,000 times, you know, but even though now he's been gone for 12 years, I still, every day, man, I miss hearing him tell those stories. And, you know, he'd ask me where I'm going, and I would tell him, and he'd be like, oh, I remember the one time I was there, you know, and it was really cool. And that's another point, guys. Please find an older driver and try to gain some wisdom from them if you're new to this industry. Don't hide from them. Don't disrespect them. You may not agree with everything they say and do, but I guarantee you, if a guy's been out here for 30 years or 20 years or 10 years or 40 years or 50 years, and he's still doing this and he's been safe, he probably knows a lot more than you do. There's guys out there that know a lot more than I do. And I learn something new every day. Trust me, I've learned stuff from guys that have only been driving for 6 months, and I've learned stuff from guys that have been driving for near 60 years. And I've been lucky enough to impart a lot of my wisdom and my knowledge to other drivers who were willing to listen. So, and that's what these videos are about, guys. They're just about me sharing my opinions and some of my knowledge and things that I know and things that I see. Whether you agree with them or not, that's entirely up to you. I still respect you. We're all out here doing the same job, different companies, different kinds of trucks, different freight, whatever, but you know what? We're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to get stuff from point A to point B as safely and efficiently as we can to get home and go see our families. So, you know, take care, drivers. God bless you all. I appreciate each and every one of you. I respect each and every one of you, even if we don't agree with each other. So, having said that, it's almost Christmas time, 2023. We're looking at, I think today is the 22nd of December, so we're not far from Christmas. Unfortunately, I am not going to be home this year, so I'm right there with a large majority of drivers that aren't getting to be home for the holidays. Be the first time since 1996 that I have not been home for Christmas. So that's a long time. But God love you. Take care. Everybody be safe. Take care of yourselves. Expect to see you out here again on the road. If I run into you, say something to me. I'll buy you a cup of coffee and we'll sit down and talk if we have time. Keep watching the videos. I appreciate it. If you have some ideas, throw them in there in the comments. And I'm glad to be back. You know, like I said, I took about 8 years off from the road because my wife got sick, and I had to take the time to be home. We needed the health insurance. Things are a little bit better now. She's doing better. So, and most of my kids are pretty well all grown and out of the house. So, here I am, enjoying every single minute of it. I'm loving every minute of it. So, anyway, take care, drivers. I appreciate you. Keep the shiny side up. Be safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.